It is 3 in the morning. The house is quiet. The world is asleep. You are lying in bed, staring at the ceiling, or perhaps scrolling through a screen that offers you infinite entertainment. You are safe. You are fed. You have a roof over your head. By the standards of history, you are living like a king. You have more comfort, more technology, and more freedom than 99% of humans who have ever walked the earth. So why do you feel like you are dying inside? Why is there a hollow ache in your chest that no amount of pleasure can fill? Why does everything you do feel gray? You go to work, but it feels like a performance. You go out with friends, but you feel alone in the crowd. You buy things you don't need, hoping they will make you feel something, anything. But the moment the package arrives, the feeling is gone. This is not just sadness. This is not just burnout. This is something deeper, something colder. It is the sensation of staring into a void and realizing the void is staring back. Psychologists call this the existential vacuum. It is the defining crisis of the modern world. We have solved the problem of survival only to be confronted with the problem of existence. We have forgotten why we are here. We are told that the purpose of life is to be happy. We are told to chase pleasure, comfort, and success. But if happiness is the goal, why are the most comfortable societies on Earth also the most depressed? Why are suicide rates climbing in nations that have everything? Because happiness is a side effect. It cannot be pursued directly. And when you make happiness your primary goal, you end up miserable. You are feeling empty because you are starving, not for food, not for attention, not for success. You are starving for meaning. In this video, we are going to confront the crisis of meaning. We are going to journey into the darkest depths of human suffering to find the light. We are going to explore the philosophy of Viktor Frankl, a man who found meaning in the middle of hell. And we are going to show you how to fill the void, not with distractions, but with purpose. To understand the cure for emptiness, we must listen to a man who lost everything. Viktor Frankl was not just a psychiatrist, he was a prisoner, number 119104. In 1942, Frankl, along with his wife and parents, was arrested by the Nazis and sent to the concentration camps. Imagine a place where your name is taken away, your clothes are taken away, your hair is shaved off, your dignity is stripped until you are nothing but a naked body shivering in the cold. Frankl spent 3 years in 4 different camps, including Auschwitz. He saw things that would break the strongest mind. He saw men beaten to death for stumbling. He saw prisoners turn on each other for a crust of bread. He saw the chimneys smoking day and night, knowing that his friends and family were burning inside them. In such a place where death is certain and suffering is constant, what is the point of living? Why not just run into the electric fence and end it? Many did.
But Frankl noticed something extraordinary. He noticed that the men who survived were not necessarily the strongest physically. The big, muscular men often died first. They gave up hope. The men who survived were the ones who had a why. They had a reason to endure the suffering. For one man, it was the thought of seeing his child again. For another, it was a book he wanted to write. For Frankl, it was the image of his wife and the desire to rewrite his lost manuscript on psychology. he realized a fundamental truth about human nature, a truth that contradicted everything Sigmund Freud had taught. Freud said that humans are driven by the will to pleasure. We just want to feel good and avoid pain. Alfred Adler said that humans are driven by the will to power. We want to be superior and successful. But Frankl saw that in the camps, pleasure was impossible, power was impossible. Yet, some men still kept going. He concluded that the primary drive of human existence is the will to meaning. We do not just want to survive, we want to know that our survival matters. He famously quoted the philosopher Friedrich Nietzsche, who said, "He who has a why to live for can bear almost any how." When Frankl was finally liberated, he returned to Vienna. He learned that his wife had been murdered. He learned that his entire family was gone. He could have fallen into despair. He could have become bitter. But instead, he wrote a book called Man's Search for Meaning. He wrote it in 9 days. He poured his soul onto the paper. He founded a new school of psychotherapy called Logotherapy. Logos is the Greek word for meaning. Logotherapy is based on the idea that despair is suffering without meaning. If you are suffering and it has no purpose, it destroys you. But if you can find meaning in your suffering, it transforms you. Today, we are not in Auschwitz. We are in comfortable apartments. We have full refrigerators. Yet, Frankl predicted that a new kind of neurosis would sweep the modern world. He called it the mass neurotic triad: depression, aggression, addiction. He saw that when people lose their sense of meaning, they try to fill the hole with other things. They try to fill it with drugs. They try to fill it with casual sex. They try to fill it with anger and political extremism. They try to fill it with endless scrolling on social media. But the hole is infinite, and you cannot fill a spiritual hole with material things. Let us look deeper into this existential vacuum. Why is it happening now? Why do you feel it so acutely? Frankl argued that for most of human history, meaning was given to us. We had traditions, we had strict religions, we had rigid social roles. You knew who you were. You were a blacksmith because your father was a blacksmith. You were a mother because that was your duty. But in the modern world, those traditions have collapsed. We have absolute freedom. We can be anything. We can go anywhere. We can believe anything. This sounds like a dream, but for the human mind, it is often a nightmare. When you have infinite choice, you have infinite anxiety. You are paralyzed. You don't know what to choose, so you choose nothing. You drift. Frankl noticed a phenomenon he called Sunday neurosis. This is the depression that hits people on the weekend. During the week, you are busy. You have work. You have deadlines. The noise of life distracts you from the void. But then Sunday comes. The work stops. The noise stops. And suddenly, you are left alone with the emptiness inside you. You realize that your life has no direction. You realize that you are just killing time until you die. So what do? You numb yourself. You drink alcohol to shut off the brain. You binge-watch television to escape reality. You chase the will to pleasure because the will to meaning is too painful to face. This creates a feedback loop. You pursue pleasure. The pleasure wears off. You feel emptier than before. So you need a bigger dose of pleasure, a stronger drug, a riskier thrill. This is the cycle of addiction. Addiction is not always about the substance. It is about the silence. It is about silencing the voice in your head that asks, "Is this all there is?" Frankl also warned about the danger of nihilism. This is the belief that life has no meaning, that we are just biological accidents on a floating rock in space, so nothing matters. This philosophy is seductive. It is easy. If nothing matters, you don't have to try. You don't have to take responsibility. You can just be a victim of the universe.
Your brain is wired to seek patterns. It is wired to seek purpose. When you deny that need, you become neurotic. You become anxious. You might say, "But I don't know what the meaning of my life is. I'm not special. I'm not a genius. I'm not Viktor Frankl." This is the biggest mistake people make. They think meaning is something grand. They think meaning is curing cancer, or becoming a billionaire, or being famous. And they think meaning is something they have to create inside themselves. Frankl says, no. Meaning is not something you create, it is something you detect. It is not inside you, it is outside you. Imagine you are in a dark room. You cannot generate light from your own eyes. You have to find a candle. You cannot say, "My life matters because I say so." That is just ego. You have to find something in the world that needs you. You have to find a task that is waiting for you. You have to find a person who is waiting for you. Frankl calls this self-transcendence. The human eye has a blind spot. It cannot see itself. The only way the eye can see is by looking at something else. In the same way, the human being cannot find happiness by looking in the mirror. You can only find happiness by forgetting yourself and focusing on something outside of yourself. This is why the self-help industry often fails. It tells you to focus on you, your happiness, your needs, your self-care. But the more you focus on yourself, the more miserable you become. The more you chase happiness, the faster it runs away. Happiness is like a butterfly. If you chase it, you will never catch it. But if you sit quietly and do your work, it may land on your shoulder. Block 4. The solution. So how do we find meaning in a chaotic world? How do we detect it? Frankl offers 3 specific paths, 3 ways to fill the void. The first path is the creative value. This means doing a deed, creating a work, contributing something to the world. This does not have to be a masterpiece. It does not have to be a symphony. It can be doing your job with excellence. It can be gardening. It can be fixing a broken engine. It can be raising a child. It is the act of taking something chaotic and making it orderly. It is the act of leaving a footprint on the world that says, "I was here." Ask yourself, what is the work that only I can do? What is the contribution that will remain after I am gone? When you lose yourself in your work, you enter a state of flow. The ego disappears. The anxiety disappears. You are connected to the task. The second path is the experiential value. This means experiencing something or encountering someone. This is the path of love. Frankl writes beautifully about love. He says that love is the only way to grasp another human being in the innermost core of his personality. When you love someone, you see their potential. You see what they could become, and by loving them, you help them become it. Meaning can be found in the beauty of nature, in the sunset, in a piece of music that moves you to tears. In those moments, you are not asking what is the meaning of life. You are feeling it. You are experiencing gratitude for existence. If you are feeling empty, stop looking at screens. Go look at a mountain. Go look at the ocean. Go look into the eyes of someone you love. Connect with the reality outside of your head. But what if you cannot work? What if you are sick?
What if you are paralyzed? What if you have lost everyone you love? This brings us to the third and most important path. The third path is the attitudinal value. This is the ability to find meaning in unavoidable suffering. This is what Frankl did in the camps. He could not work. He could not experience beauty. He was in pure misery. But he realized that he still had one freedom left, the last of the human freedoms, to choose one's attitude in any given set of circumstances, to choose one's own way. You cannot control what happens to you. You cannot control tragedy. You cannot control illness. You cannot control death. But you can control how you face it. Frankl tells the story of an elderly doctor who came to him in deep depression. The doctor's wife had died 2 years earlier, and he loved her deeply. He could not get over the loss. Frankl asked him a simple question. "Doctor, what would have happened if you had died first and your wife had survived you?" The doctor said, "Oh, that would have been terrible. She would have suffered so much." Frankl replied, "You see, doctor, you have spared her that suffering, but now you must pay for it by surviving and mourning her." The doctor said nothing. He shook Frankl's hand and left the office. His suffering had not ceased, but it had become meaningful. It was a sacrifice he was making for the woman he loved. Despair is suffering without meaning. If you can find a meaning for your pain, even if it is just to bear it with dignity so as not to burden others, the pain becomes bearable. This is called tragic optimism. It is the ability to say yes to life in spite of everything. To say, "I am suffering, but I will use this suffering to become stronger. I will use this suffering to become more empathetic. I will turn this tragedy into a triumph." This is the ultimate victory of the human spirit. So, if you are lying in bed tonight, staring at the ceiling, feeling that emptiness, do not be afraid. The emptiness is not a sign that you are broken. It is a sign that you are waking up. It is your soul demanding more than just survival. It is your humanity asking for a purpose. Stop asking the question, "What is the meaning of life?" That is the wrong question. Imagine that life is asking you a question. Every hour, every day, life is asking you, "Who are you and what are you going to do?" You answer that question, not with words, but with actions. You answer it by getting out of bed. You answer it by doing your work. You answer it by loving your family. You answer it by bearing your burdens with your head held high. The meaning of life is to give life meaning. You are the author of your own story, and as long as you have breath in your lungs, the story is not over. Do not numb the pain. Listen to it. Let it drive you out of the vacuum and into the world. Now, finding meaning is the first step, but once you have found your purpose, you need the mental fortitude to stick to it when the world tries to break you. You need a mind that is unshakable. There is an ancient philosophy designed exactly for this, a philosophy of resilience, control, and absolute strength. If you want to build an invincible mind, click the video appearing on your screen now about Stoicism, how to be undefeatable. I will see you there.